Hello, and welcome to Ending Physician Overwhelm. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Mello. I'm a family and obesity medicine physician, as well as a certified life coach for physicians. In this podcast, we talk about how the learned habits of people-pleasing, perfectionism, and a lack of boundaries show up in our lives and how they contribute to burnout, exhaustion, and overwhelm. The healthcare system is broken, my friends, but let's not wait for it to be fixed in order to feel better. All right, my friends, I want you to right now think back to a time in middle school or maybe high school where you went on a school trip that was overnight at least. Think about all the drama that was going on. Think about all of the things that had to happen on that trip, whether it was a sightseeing trip or maybe a band or an orchestra trip, some kind of thing that was like a big group of people all coordinated together. And of course, you and your middle school or your high school drama weren't paying attention to all the adults around the edges, the parents, the tour guides, maybe the teachers, right, who were involved. Just think back to that experience and how much you learned or didn't learn. And now imagine that you are one of these hapless parents on the trip. My friends, this is what is going on in my life right now. As you can see, if you're watching, I am in a hotel room. I'm in a hotel room in Japan, in Osaka specifically. And I am with my family and chaperoning our 8th grade middle school field trip to Japan. My kids are both in a Japanese language learning school, and we are chaperoning another student that we know, a friend of my son's. And my friends, this is a whole vibe, traveling with a middle school group. As a parent, as an adult, as a physician, it is just as crazy as you could imagine. But unlike my own experience, now they have smartphones, which adds a whole new level of drama. What I am observing in them, though, is its own thing. And I'm also observing all of the things that I'm noticing about myself in the travel in this stage of my life and continuing my work as a recovering perfectionist. And that's what we're going to focus on for today. I could tell you all the hot gossip about the middle schoolers, but you already know it. You already know what's going on with all of them. I can't even get started, right? So we're going to focus now on us and what we can learn as we are recovering from our perfectionist habits. If you are someone who has listened to the show for a long time, you know that we come back over and over again to the themes of letting go of our perfectionism, letting go of our people-pleasing, learning how to set boundaries. And, all of these things are coming up for me as I am here, as we were getting ready, because these are just common themes that will emerge, especially when we are heading to a new place, when we're coordinating something that's out of the ordinary, like a trip, right? Just prime examples for perfectionism and people-pleasing to show up. And those things will get in the way of us having a good trip. It's important as physicians that we actively notice where those habits pop up, how we can start to let go of them, and how we can reframe our thinking so that we can have a better experience. Right? Our perfectionism and our people-pleasing and our lack of boundaries, those things all helped us in our journey into medicine. And as the saying goes, what got us here will not get us to the next phase, right? If we are on the other side of our medical school, our residency, our fellowships, right, and we are actively living our lives, we need to be actively letting go of those perfectionist and people-pleasing habits in order to really be present in our lives. As the responsibilities stack on each other, right, as life gets busier, if we don't start to shift some of that and really focus on being present and enjoying ourselves, we will miss so much. And that's been very apparent to me as, I've been getting ready. So here are some key themes that keep emerging as we are on our trip. 1, you will need to ask for help. Now, in no small part, this for me has coming up because I don't know if you've ever been around Japanese, but Japanese is so incredibly different from English, and there is no pretending, there is no faking. When my kids were little and we were putting them in this school, there was both a Spanish track and a Japanese track. And we signed up for the Spanish because I thought, oh, what a great opportunity for me to learn some Spanish if my kids will learn to speak Spanish. But of course, Spanish was full. And so we got into Japanese. As my kids have been learning, of course, I've had intentions along the way to try and pick up things with them. I have not done any of that. I do not speak any Japanese. And of course, I have not learned any of the alphabet, right? And so being here in Japan, I am relying on my kids and everyone else who is on the trip who speaks Japanese and our tour guides. But also, of course, many things have happened, right, where we need some help because we are in a foreign place, right? I do not know how the system works here. We had bought tickets in advance for the train, for example, to get from the airport to the hotel, but the tickets required downloading several apps and moving the tickets one by one for 5 people over from one app to another app and then scanning each one and then going back. And I had to have help. There was no way that I could do it. And I could notice in those moments, right, that my desire to just be able to manage it, my desire to just handle it the way I handle so many things was so high. And the need to stop and ask for help just really got to me. We had another situation where the kid that we're traveling with apparently left their laundry in a drawer in the other hotel, right? We're in the middle of our journey, so we've gone from one hotel to another, and we will be leaving for another hotel tomorrow, actually. I don't know how to engage the shipping system, but there is an amazing shipping system here in Japan. But again, had to reach out and ask for help. The kid was doing his best to coordinate, and he does speak excellent Japanese, and yet he's a kid. He's 13. And so trying to figure out how to get the hotel to find the laundry, send it to the future hotel when he is not in charge of any of those things, of course not. But thankfully, we have some wonderful trip organizers, and I just had to tell them, like, I can't do anything for this problem. I don't know the language and I don't know the system. And they have magically, within a few hours, been able to find said laundry and arrange for it to be taken to Tokyo. Fantastic. There was no way that I can help with that situation. And that was actually a really good experience because there was no way that I would be able to do that. And with a few texts, right, we were able to make it work. Another theme that keeps popping up is the desire to be present, the need to be present, and thinking about what would it take to be present. As I was getting ready for the trip, in my current clinic, we don't truly cover for each other typically, and I will tell you that nearly all of my colleagues are also out on spring break right now. I knew that it was going to be challenging for me to be part of a middle school trip, traveling with my whole family and a group of middle schoolers and their parents, because of course that was going to be hard, and we were going to be in a country where I didn't speak the language. Normally, I would be covering my own inbox from afar and dipping into it at least once a day, usually just once a day, in order to be able to manage. But here we had a time difference and all of those things, and I said, in order for me to be really present and to be really able to enjoy the trip, I need help. Oddly, what ended up happening is I have a friend who is opening her own small practice and needed some locums time. And so I decided that I would pay her to run my inbox. I'm also paying her to see some patients for me. And once the billings come in, I will collect on that. But I had to get over this mindset of, in order to be present, I was going to need, again, to ask somebody else for help and be willing to pay for it in order to be present. And as I was getting ready, part of me was grumbling of like, oh, I don't know why I should have to do that. But on the other hand, I was also so incredibly grateful. I was so grateful that I had a trusted person who was going to be there managing my inbox. I had given her all the tools and, engaged her in the ways that she can get the support that she needs as she is spending time in our clinic. And that allowed me to walk away. And being here halfway through our trip, I cannot imagine trying to do this trip and be responsible for my inbox. And I will tell you proudly that I have not logged in once. I logged in the night before we left, made sure it was clean. I'm going to wait until we get back to the United States before I touch it again. And that feels so free. It allows me to be here with my family. And it's not a way that I've traveled really in the last several years. And of course, it's not typically what I would have done years ago in employed practice either, because even though somebody was technically covering for me, you know how that goes, where you're not always certain what's actually going to happen. Here, again, trusted person, asked for help. I'm paying her. She's not doing me a favor. And it's actually a win-win for both of us because she needs some hours. She overlaps my skills nearly exactly. I know her well, right? I trust her to do a great job, and I get to be here with my family. Like, how wonderful is that? So, okay, we've covered a few things here, right? The need to ask for help, the desire to be present, and sort of thinking about what is it that you need in order to be present. The third element that is at play here is really knowing yourself. And I've touched on this a little bit. I am someone who is typically a planner, but I did not plan this trip. My job was to make sure that we had tickets to get into Japan and out of Japan from the proper places, and to be able to get to the hotel when we arrived, and to be able to get from the hotel when we're leaving to the airport. Of course, there were a few other tasks, right, in terms of coordinating with the group, but that was my job. And as somebody who usually plans all the travel, there was a lot of letting go there, and yet I was able to um, be able to sort of set things up so that I was really aware of sort of what was happening, but also trusting that the guides were going to be helping us, and um, that I needed to have some level of detail. Another thing is, as an Enneagram 6, I am someone who also likes to be very prepared sort of in the moment, right? I am the person who's always thinking ahead of the things that might go wrong. I signed up to be the first aid person on the trip. And so, went to Target and really stocked up. I am prepared for every GI emergency that could happen. I guess apart from bleeding. I'm stocked up on sunscreen and Band-Aids and Tylenol and ibuprofen and all the gut medicines and allergy medicines and cold medicines. And I am so glad that I am that person, because every day someone is tapping me on the shoulder, needing something, and I want to be able to help. I am fully prepared to help. That is me in my element, and that helps me actually to have a better time when we travel, because it just decreases some chaos. Now, is that engaging a little bit in my perfectionism? A little bit. But it's also sort of settling a part of my nervous system that is reacting to, okay, well, you didn't plan and arrange the whole trip, right? So you want to be a little bit in your element, a little bit comfortable, again, so that you can feel like yourself when you travel, right? All of these themes are popping up for me. And, I'm able to be here. I'm able to be here. I'm able to have fun. Now, of course, because this is a middle school trip, I'm not seeing my oldest son, my eighth grader, very much. See him a few times, throughout the day. So it's mostly me spending time with my husband and my kid as part of the big group. And of course, the middle schoolers, again, they're all in their drama. It is everything that you would be expecting of a group of middle schoolers. And are so incredibly lucky to be able to be here, be experiencing something that I probably wouldn't have experienced without this group. So that's what's going on. So as we wrap up, again, I want to come back to these elements. So noticing the need to ask for help, figuring out what do I need to be present. And then also sort of how can I feel most like myself? How can I figure out where I feel sort of most, I don't know, if connected would be the right word, right? But trying to figure out, okay, well, who am I on this trip, right? I am somebody who can bring some special skills. I am somebody who can be very prepared. And I can use those things in a way that helps to support me feeling like myself, but also support the other humans that I'm with, right? And that feels good. All right, my friends, that is all I have for you today. It's a whole vibe traveling with middle schoolers. And again, all the drama, all the gossip. I don't even know what to make of some of the things I heard earlier today, but we'll see. We're halfway through. So until next week, take care.
Well, that's our show for today. Thank you as always for listening. To learn more about my coaching programs, head to www.healthierforgood.com. And if you love this podcast, please drop us a review on iTunes or support the show by clicking the link in the show notes. Until next time, take care.